Okay. Fascinating, strange, interesting. Let's bring in attorney Brian Claypool, watching all of this with us. So, Brian, I guess my first question to you is this working? Because it's clearly an effort to show Johnny Depp as a wounded child, a sensitive adult, someone who allows himself to write things that are dark and embarrassing. My guess is that we're going to hear from Amber Heard's attorney that some of his writing is very specific in nature and could be related to things that happened between these two people. Your thoughts? So is this working so far for him?
Yeah, hey, Martha, nice to see you again, and thanks for having me back. I think Depp's lawyer is doing a good job. What she's doing, by the way, Martha, you know there's two phases to a civil case. First, it's liability, and then you have damages. And liability, what Depp has to prove here is that Amber Heard maliciously made false comments about him, abusing her, that caused harm. Well, his lawyer is forgetting about all that right now. She's not starting with the liability phase. She's starting with the harm. Think about it. The damage. She wants the jury to get to know Johnny from a child and what he went through to justify these text messages and what he's going through in a restaurant when he tries to go out. He's talking about Monty Python and Van Morrison to bond, connect with the jury, to talk about how this is affecting his life before the lawyers ever get into, did you harm Amber Heard? What about the photographs? What about your therapist saying that she was harmed? So it's an interesting strategy, and I do think it's working to a certain extent to create that bonding between Depp and the jury.
So I'm also watching a split screen here. You see Amber Heard sitting there, very composed, expressionless, really. I mean, occasionally she's written down a couple of things, but she doesn't seem to be affected by any of this. It looks like she's heard most of it before.
Yeah, great point, because remember what Depp has to prove in this case. It's a daunting task, Martha. This isn't going to be easy for Depp. Can't win this case because he's a cool guy and the jury likes his movies. He has to prove that Amber Heard maliciously made these comments. Why? Because Depp is a public figure. It's not enough just to show that Amber carelessly made these comments. He's got to show she intentionally made these stories up and she's basically lying to the public. Now, if this was an average person off the street going up against Depp, then Depp might have the upper hand. But here you have more of a square, equal footing because Amber Heard is also an actress. She's a celebrity, and she's in there every day looking him in the face. So I think that does neutralize things.
So every member of this jury is watching him tell this story. At one point he said, "I have never struck a woman, ever." Did you find him to be credible in that moment? Because that's the test for them. Is he credible when he says that?
Yeah, that the jury's going to have to decide. He sounds credible, Martha, but at the end of the day, it's not going to be what he says. It's going to be the photographs, the text messages, the testimony from the therapist. You have extrinsic evidence that I think is going to possibly disprove Depp's testimony.
Fascinating. We will see. Brian, great to have you. Always good to get your thoughts on this kind of obviously very high-profile crime trial, I should say, that's going on. Thanks, Brian. So that's the story for today, April 19th.